Alrighty, so today I want to go over summonable LRs from 2024 and specifically rank them, or not rank them, but rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. I think that 2024 overall was a really good year for LRs, and the game has sort of transitioned from a period of like, how do I want to put this into words, right? We've sort of reached like a period where LRs are beginning to fulfill like literally every single role on teams, right? Just by themselves. We used to have like a meta back in the day where characters would be complemented by TURs and different linking partners that were not LRs, and they would not do the support themselves. They would be the characters that you want to support, and they would do the heavy lifting for you. But in the case of this year, I think that characters, LRs specifically, really have kind of become jacks of all trades and also masters of these trades at the same time. So it's become a bit of a an issue, and not an issue, but just a different sort of way that the game has worked overall, right? Like LRs really dominate the game, and I think that what I want to do is rate them relative to the time that they came out. So just because, just like for an example, right, because physical Gogeta Blue is not top 5 in the game anymore, does not mean that I'm going to take points away because he is not the best character in the game anymore, right? And I don't think he ever was the best character in the game, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? So that is how we are going to do it, and I think that with the quality of LR EZAs this year, I'm also going to rank those too. You guys can see I have a bajillion tabs open. Dokkan info is like, what more do you want from me? You can see how slow the LR effects are loading, but that is okay. You guys can just have something to look at in the background or listen to in the background while I rate every character out of 10. So that is what we're going to do today. We have a lot of LRs to get to, so I'm not going to do like 10-minute breakdowns for each LR. I'm just going to briefly talk about what I think about them, how they worked, and then we're going to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. Not every LR is going to get a 10, but really most of this list is going to be mostly above like 8s and 9s. So just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and get started with the first LR on the list, and that is going to be physical Gogeta Blue. You guys saw we talked about him a little bit ago. What I really like about this character is offensively and defensively he can hold his own. This is sort of like where we had the bit of a shift where we noticed like 2024 was like kind of, I think, really the year where guard almost became like not a luxury but a necessity. And what I mean by that is like that, I mean, that might sound obvious, but like some characters, unless your damage reduction was nearing like the 60 to 70 to even 80% range, if you did not have guard, these supers are just hitting too hard. Enemy supers are hitting for well over 2 to 3 million these days, and it's like if you do not have guard and you also don't have damage reduction to complement that, you are going to be in a bit of a spot. And if you don't have that damage reduction, you need to have the dodge. And this character in base does not have that. They have the guard, they have the stacking, so it's a good start, but they do not have the dodging until we transform into Blue Gogeta. But what Blue Gogeta brings to the table, which I think is a very valuable mechanic, right, that just overall is that this character at the same time has the taunt mechanic, and with the taunt mechanic you are going to be able to direct the attacks and make sure that you are not taking any damage. As long as it is not an AoE turn, you should be good to go, because Gogeta's taunt, when like working properly, and then the enemy is a disabling dodge, you don't have the tech UI domain up, this character has like the best taunt effect in the game, where you literally just, that is a 0 damage turn, that is a Ghost Usher turn. So that is why I think this LR is really good. Offensively, defensively, he is bringing things to the table, but unfortunately, this character was missing out a little bit in base. I think he could have been better. Being a Rainbow Orb Changer is extra points, so I think all in all, I'm going to give this character an 8.75 out of 10. Very, very good release. You could almost say like a borderline 9 out of 10, but it was just missing a few things in base that I think held this guy back a little bit. So 8.75 out of 10 is going to be my rating for Gogeta. Let's move on to his counterpart, which is going to be Broly. Now, Broly, I really, really, really like this Broly unit. I think that, again, he has a similar thing to Gogeta where, you know, he is missing the damage reduction, but again, to make up for that, he is doing a bunch of attacks, and he is also making up for it with guard, where he's also going to be raising his defense on for 1 turn on those in the base form, where he's going to be supering 4 times, 5 times, getting that defensive stat high enough to where the guard can usually complement it in the first turn of these fights, especially considering that he can build up. And what I really like about this character specifically is just, again, all of the super attacks that we're going to be doing. I think that his domain, when you go into the full power mode, is a little bit of a drawback at times, just because it clashes with a lot of other characters on the teams that you want to run him with. So I think potentially that can be a bit of an issue, and also considering this is a character a lot of the time you can run him with superclass units, can be a little bit of an issue, because that does increase the damage for superclass allies. Is that in the base form, so I don't have to mess with this? Yeah, extreme class allies attack and defense, and then super class allies, enemies, and end damage receive plus 10%. So if you are running along this guy alongside a Beast Gohan, a UI Goku, Evolution Blue Vegeta, etc., this is where you can potentially run into an issue with this character where he is going to be doing a little bit more, or they are going to be taking a little bit more damage than they normally would. But all in all, I think the domain is solid. When you go into especially the second 4 or the transform into full power, you know, you're reaching those high 20 million attack stats. You're literally doing 5 supers. You have that AoE coming. Very, very high offensive potential, and this character was easily top 3 when he dropped alongside the likes of Orange Piccolo and Gogeta Blue. So if we want to give, we're not going to give overall points for how they aged. I'm not going to be factoring that into the rating, but one thing we can at least talk about is the way that he is fulfilling roles and also fitting well into the teams that you want to run him on, right? The Movie Bosses team got plenty of buffs in 2024. The Super Bosses team got plenty of buffs in 2024. So overall, I'm going to give this character a 9 out of 10. Very, very good release. Now, do I want to talk about this character? Like, do I want to rank? Do I want to like say everything that I've said? Because you guys know it's the vilify staple to glaze this character, right? And just talk about him until I'm blue in the face. To me, this was a perfect release. Easy 10 out of 10. This character, he can't take damage, and he's also doing damage to boot. It also has a taunt mechanic. He's providing support for the team. He has damage reduction. He has guard. It's like a character, if a super is hitting extremely hard, the telltale is that Beast takes it for 300 to 400k. That means that the super is killing 99.99% of the game, and it's doing half of your health if you take Beast Gohan. So that's really all I have to say about this character. I don't want to bore you with the same like stuff that I've given you in the year. This is an easy 10 out of 10 release for me. Okay, so the Gammas. That's going to be the next release here. This is going to be the worst of the 4 anniversary LRs, but the beauty of the 9th anniversary is literally every single LR was good, right? This character providing support for the best team in the game. They have the core breaker mechanic with their standby. They have a lot of offense that they could potentially give. Defensively, things could be a little bit tricky, but the biggest drawback to me with this character was the orb restrictions that they had, right? Because it wasn't like every single time you were going to get the what's it called? The orbs that you needed, right? But the support that they were giving for all 3 of these different categories that I believe stacked, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but like if you were on all 3 of these categories, you were getting 150% support, I'm pretty sure. So like this character right here, they were just doing so much, right? And when you get into that Gamma 1, Gamma 2 standby, you have the defensive capabilities, but it is very restricted to the orbs in order to get that extra attack. This is a character when you don't get that extra super attack or that extra attack in, I believe it's they need to attack 3 times in here. If they don't get that 3rd attack, it is a little bit tricky, right? Because you are really looking for that damage reduction. So all in all, I think that just because, again, I don't want this video to literally be 45 minutes. I think that this release was an 8 out of 10. Very, very good. Not too much to complain about, but I think, again, could have been a little bit better. So the Gammas, I like them a lot, though. This is one of my favorite characters in the game easily. Now, moving along, the LR Ginyu Force. Sort of just to talk about this guy. I think that he can look impressive, but his team restriction does put him back quite a bit for me. Special pose, being restricted to 1 team, I hate that. It's like sometimes it works. Like in this case, the Ginyu Force team is really where you're just kind of going to be running this character, and you can run him on Special Pose, right? Special Pose is a good team, but I don't like when it's like the game is telling you, hey, you're putting this character on this team, whether you like it or you don't, right? And that always drives me nuts. So overall, I think that this character has a ton of high potential and a lot of good things going for him, but it's just you have to run him on the Special Pose team, and I don't like that. So all in all, I'm going to give this unit a 6.5 out of 10. Just good, but again, kind of forgettable. Now, moving on. Ultimate Gohan, this is sort of the same case, right? Where he has his moments, can look good, has a lot going on here, but again, you just want to run him on the Buu Saga category, which is a good team, but considering the 200%, like the true 200% being here with this Gotenks, they'd come out to literally the end of 2024, and it's just like really, I don't want to pull up this category because again, this video would just be too long, but this unit really, I think could have been a lot better, right? Like you look at him next to the Tech Ultimate Gohan, that rotation works very, very well, but it's just like you're forced to run him on the Buu Saga team. Like where else are you running this character, right? Like running on Hybrid Saiyans, you're going to be missing out on a lot of these buffs. So overall, I think pretty forgettable release here, but again, the kit was fine, so I'll give him the same rating that I gave the Ginyu Force. I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10. Just okay. Now, Cell Max. Oh baby, this was a good release. This character is really, really, really good. again, it can be frustrating when you need to run him on these teams. But at least with this team in specific, right, having the artificial life forms or the super bosses category or super bosses or movie bosses, at least these teams did end up getting the buffs that they needed, right? Special Pose was not a team that was just getting absolutely just like spammed with releases in 2024 that were good, right? Like we're talking about like the Gotenks EZA for Special Pose, but movie bosses was a team that went from, where was movie bosses like when AGL Broly came out? Pretty dead in the water, right? But by the time we got out of Worldwide Download Celebration, ooh baby, that was a good team. So this character absolutely is like one of, I want to say he's a top 4 hardest hitting character in the game, and to boot with that, he also has a taunt turn, which gives him objectively the highest defensive stats in the game, right? We're literally talking at 55%, like over 7 to 8 million defense, which no boss is getting through that, so that is really important. And with an 8 million defensive attack stat, we also have the taunt, we have easy damage reduction, we have guard, we have easy key, we're doing a ton of different attacks, doing a lot of damage. Overall, this release for me, an easy 9.5 out of 10. Not perfect, right? Had some category restrictions, right? Now, I can't say he's perfect, but he was very, very good. Now, let's move on. This character, Tech UI Goku. The bias in me wants to scream, 10 out of 10, perfect, my goat, rah, all that. But I'm going to be realistic about it, right? I think that this character in base is not doing enough. He's good. He's really good, right? The support that he's giving on the super attack effects, very nice. You run this guy on the Tournament of Power team, he is going to be phenomenal, right? This character is amazing. You can run him outside of the Tournament of Power team and it's going to work because you're just giving that support. And support is so, so important, especially when you're getting it for free, right? It's just on these super attack effects, right? You don't need to run certain teams. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do that. But what really makes this character stand out, I think the base form is not enough, so that is going to be minus like a little bit, but if we go down here to the Goku, like the mastered UI Goku version, this is a perfect character, I think. Like the transformation, like we were literally talking about this guy like alongside Beast Gohan. Is he better than Beast Gohan when he came out, right? But it's just most of the time you are going to be seeing this character in base. The counters that he's doing, the damage that he's bringing to the table, the ability to nullify dodge disabling, right? That is insanely valuable, right? Characters like AGL UI Goku go from not being able to survive in a phase to just being fine. It's just like a normal turn for them. So really, I think that this character is doing so much, right? The damage is good. The damage received is fine. The damage reduced is fine. The guaranteed dodging turn 1 with that domain. This domain is absolutely incredible, right? Like this character, when you transform and you're in that domain, you are in, and he's on another level. So overall, I think I'm going to give this character a 9 out of 10. It's just the fact that the base form, I don't think is doing enough to really warrant like a 10 out of 10. But overall, this transform version of UI Goku, easily one of the best characters in the game and my favorite release of 2024. So moving along, we have Jiren. I think that this character can look extremely impressive, but it is a little bit tricky because, like, I don't know, it's tough to evaluate him, right? It's like his leader skill is really good, right? A pure 200 for Tournament of Power and then extra key for Universe 11. I think the base form is just okay, right? The action disabling is really good. I'm not going to take that away from him. The standby is really nice. One thing that kind of drives me crazy about this standby, though, is he has like the tanking ability, but the problem for me is it's this right down here. Like, giving the attack support plus 70% is amazing, obviously, but what really just annoys me about that is that he has to be in slot 2 when this character is like meant to be put in slot 1 in the standby. So it's like a lot of times, like, you're just not going, unless you have another slot 1 unit next to him, you're just going to have to throw this character in slot 1 and just make sure that he has defense and make sure that he's tanking, right? So it's like you're missing out potentially on this potential support that you could have for another character when you are running this Jiren. And it can be a bit annoying at times, but I'm not going to hold that too far against this character. And when you transform with him and you're in full power, you are seeing attack stats that you've never seen before, right? Like before, like Broly and stuff like that was a thing. Like this character, I always talk about this, could reach like the 100 million attack stat range without needing to have like support items around, or without using like attack up items, no nuking items, nothing like that. So really, really, really good character. I'm a huge fan of this Jiren. I'm going to give him an 8.75 out of 10. Really like this character. I think UI Goku was a bit better, but not by much. So really good release. Now, moving along, we have reached the worldwide download celebration. Now, these are characters that I feel like most of you guys are familiar with. Just so we will kind of move through these guys a little bit quicker. I know we got a long ways to go. We got a lot of EZAs to talk about. So this character providing a lot of support, Turn 1, I think sometimes can be a little bit tricky for them, but once you kind of get out of there, you get that defense built up and stuff like that, you start giving this crazy support and making the team look like characters that were viewed as nothing are now something with the support that these guys are giving. You run 2 of them, you run them alongside other worldwide download celebration characters. I think this release is easily a 9.5 out of 10. I'm a huge fan of this character, and they are very good. They have that hard-hitting standby. They work very, very well. The same thing is going to be said for Broly. I think that Broly, again, is an easy 9. The Super Saiyan Trio is a 9.75. That's what I'm going to go with, and it's going to be the same thing for this Broly. The choice between offense and defense with the standby or with the technical standby mechanic that he has in the beginning, right? Then you could choose to use the active skill or not use the active skill if you want the extra damage reduction and the support, or do you want the additional attack that you're going to be getting with the 75% damage reduction that you have if you were to transform him. I like having the choice where it's like, listen, I'm going to make sure that everybody else on the turn is good and not transform this Broly, or I'm going to go right into big boy Broly mode, transform him, get that the other active skill going as soon as possible. Really like the choices that this guy has. Offensively, he has the AoE, he has the action break, the damage reduction, the guard, the ability to build up that attack. We're literally like getting to the 30 million, the high 20 million attack stat range with this guy with ease. Very good defensively. All in all, a 9.75 out of 10 release. Now, this version of Broly, this character sometimes is a little bit slept on. I'm going to give him a 9.5 compared to, no, I'm going to give him a 9, yeah. So, not as good as the Tech Broly, still very good. I really like the way that they designed this character. He is providing utility, a little bit extra utility to the team with the revive, I think, that the Movie Bosses team has, because the Movie Bosses team, you think about it, it has guard, it has damage reduction, it has the taunts, it has the support, has the offense, has the defense, and then you add in a little bit here, you have the early domain access with this Broly, you have the ability to stun, you have the revive right out of the gate. This is a really well-designed character. So, all in all, I'm going to give him a 9, works very well in the Movie Bosses team, but I don't think is a must-have like the other 2, or like somebody like Beast Gohan. Now, this version of Gohan right here, very good as well. Has the hard-hitting standby, right? You transform with this guy and you get into that standby, you get the 100 orbs, or 100 orbs, you get the Dragon Ball, whatever you need, right? This character is doing like the hardest hitting attack in the game with that Family Kamehameha, and is just all in all, like, it's really impressive what you could do with this character pretty quickly, right? Like, you go from like a 15 million attack stat on the 18 key, and then you do a 12 key super attack that's hitting for 25 million, and then you do another one that's hitting for 32 million, right? So really, I love how offensively based this character can be while also having decent defense in slot 2 right away, and then having the defensive utility with the standby when you are ever going to need it. So if the HP is low or you're on the 3rd turn, you're going to have the standby, aka unless you lose on turn 1, you're going to have this when you need it. So all in all, I'm going to give this character, let's go 9.75. Very good character. Now, moving along, we have this Gohan and Piccolo. Very forgettable release that can potentially look impressive, but I'm not going to talk much about this character. Let's just give him a 6 out of 10 and move on. Last but not least, the final summonable LR of 2024. I think that the way that this character worked out, very, very good, right? I think that, like, he's impressive, right? It's tough. Let me kind of collect my thoughts a little bit here, right? The damage reduction that we have right away from the entry turn, starting out at 22%, right? Adding alongside the additional 33%, right? That's already 55% damage reduction, right? And if you get this version of the super up here, like, we're getting an additional damage reduction, right? With a Ki Blast super attack, and that's going to be an extra 44%. So that's a 99% damage reduction if everything goes the way that you want him to have, right? Offensively, I think that this character looks very impressive. Defensively, this character can hold his own easily. The way that he's going to work with a likely fusion during the 10th anniversary is probably going to be really good. This is the newest character on this list, and honestly, I think this video is long enough that we'll do Easy A separately. I'm going to make that audible here. So, I think that this character, really well designed. I'm a huge fan of this character, and being a Majin Buu Saga category leader for pure 200%, no category restrictions, nothing like that. Very, very good. I'm a huge fan of this character. Final Trump card goes really well with the Buu Saga, so you are not going to be noticing an issue with that whatsoever, really. Unless you are running like a very specific Buu Saga build, Final Trump card is always always going to be tied into the team. So overall, I'm going to give this release an easy 9.75 out of 10. So there we have it. There you go. Rating every summonable LR from 2024. Very good. No like 3 out of 10 question marks. Like, what were they doing releases this year when it comes to LRs? So very impressive stuff. Let me know down below what you guys think. Where would you rate all these characters out of 10? Like I said, with all that stuff. So if you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to leave a like and stay stay tuned for part 2 when I do the Easy A's coming up very soon, probably tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.